Hello, everyone, and welcome to October 17th regular Legislative Committee meeting of the Town of Vegreville. Call this meeting to order at 3:03, and I'd be looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Berry makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Next up, the adoption of the minutes of our last regular Ledge meeting. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Everybody's read the minutes? Yes. Any errors or omissions within those minutes? Okay. Councillor Bullock says none. All those in favor? Carried. So, first up, we have a delegation. Maybe Councillor Berry, you can introduce the delegation to us.
Yes, Your Worship. Get the mic on here. Yes, it's Rosie Removich from North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance, who's also our coordinator for the Vermilion River Watershed. And I'm thinking that she's going to give us a great presentation.
Okay. Hello, Rosie.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mayor McSween Council. Can you hear me?
We certainly can.
Awesome. Thank you. It's a pleasure to join you today to speak to some of the work that's undertaken by the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance. I can't see my slides anywhere, but are they up somewhere for you guys to see? Perfect. I think they're coming up now. Awesome. So next slide, please. So I did just want to take a moment to start my presentation off in a good way and acknowledge that the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance recognizes that the traditional land on which our watershed resides is in Treaty 6 territory, Treaty 8 territory, and the Métis homeland. We deeply respect and wish to honor the diverse Indigenous peoples whose ancestors' footsteps have marked this territory since time immemorial, including the Cree, Dene, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, Inuit, and the Blackfoot peoples. We further acknowledge this territory as the Métis homeland and the home of one of the largest communities of Inuit south of the 60th parallel. So generally every year or so, the NSWA likes to reconnect with municipalities across the watershed, and one of my goals with this presentation is to introduce you to the NSWA for those of you who may not be familiar with us, as well as reconnect with those of you who do. My presentation is also intended to highlight a few of the projects we're currently working on, although I will admit that these few highlights are only a smattering or a snapshot of all the activities that we undertake every year. We'd probably need about 2 days to go through everything. And finally, I'll end my presentation with touching very briefly on the value of the partnership between NSWA as a nonprofit organization and the municipalities and other partners in our watershed. I know my time with you today is limited and I want to respect the council agenda schedule, so I may skip over certain slides in the interest of time, but we chose to include them as information for council. Next slide, please. Okay, so the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance is an organization who works to improve the health of our watershed. We know that this is not something that any one organization can do on its own, so a key part of our work is bringing partners together to collaborate and plan, conserve, and educate. Officially, our mission reads to protect and improve water quality, water quantity, or in-stream flow, and the health of the watershed by seeking and sharing knowledge, facilitating partnerships, and through collaborative planning and working in an adaptive management process. So next slide, please. The NSWA is a nonprofit charitable organization with a multi-sector board of directors. Our board spans municipalities, industries, nonprofits, academia, provincial government, and members at large, and we're strongly supported by municipalities of all sizes from across the watershed. So as you may recall, the Provincial Water for Life strategy was created over 20 years ago now and sets out 3 goals and 3 key directions for water management in the province. So the 3 goals are safe, secure drinking water, healthy aquatic ecosystems, and reliable quality water supply for the economy. The 3 directions of the strategy broadly define how these goals might be achieved, and they are knowledge and research, partnerships, and water conservation. So it's under that partnership's key direction that the NSWA is recognized as a Watershed Planning and Advisory Council, or WPACs. So WPACs exist in every major watershed across the province, and we're advisory in nature and have responsibilities set out by the Government of Alberta through Water for Life that includes convening partners and stakeholders to share the responsibility for the wise use and sustainability of water in Alberta, completing an assessment called the State of the Watershed, creation of watershed management plans, and watershed literacy and education. So next slide, please. The NSWA carries out this work with partners across a very large area. So this is a map showing the North Saskatchewan watershed, and it includes more than 1,200 kilometers of main stem river, an area of 57,000 square kilometers. There's 75 municipalities with populations ranging from under 100 to more than 1 million. The watershed supports an incredible diversity of industry and business and agriculture and recreation. Our headwaters begin in the forested eastern slopes of the Rocky Mountains in the Banff area, and the majority of the water that makes up the main stem river comes from this area. The central portion of the watershed flattens a bit more and is the most populated portion of the watershed, and it also has every industrial and agricultural use. As we move eastward, the watershed is generally drier, flatter, and has a primarily agricultural land use. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned earlier, the NSWA has several key responsibilities. The first and perhaps the most important is to be what we like to call a collaborative spark plug. And by that, I mean we're often the organization that brings partners together to have discussions, to plan, and to execute projects that improve watershed health. We also conduct watershed assessment projects, and from those projects work to support local planning or the development of integrated planning documents, such as the NSWA's Integrated Watershed Management Plan. We place a great deal of focus on education and outreach activities that are intended to connect our organizations with communities across the watershed. And finally, we work to build tools and technology that can support partners in their everyday watershed and water management work. So our project examples, which I'll be going through shortly, will show how we bring these responsibilities to life. So next slide, please. So this next slide is simply intended to visually show the variety of projects that NSWA has on the go. I'll just be highlighting a few of these initiatives in the following slides. And so while many of these circles represent different projects and activities we have on the go, I did want to explicitly point out the top circle labeled Sub-Watershed Alliances. So these are 3 alliances that include the Headwaters Alliance, the Sturgeon River Watershed Alliance, and the Vermilion River Watershed Alliance. We also have an Urban Creeks Collaborative that's in a very early exploratory phase right now. So the sub-watershed alliances are very important to how the NSWA does its work because they bring a more local perspective and involvement, and they often bring forward needs or concerns or issues that turn into larger scale projects. So, for example, the Riparian Health Action Plan, which I'll touch on a little bit later in my presentation. Next slide, please. So for diving into some of our current projects, I'll begin with our State of the Watershed Assessment. Next slide, please. Thanks. So the State of the Watershed Assessment is one of the key responsibilities assigned to WPACs under the Water for Life strategy. So this assessment is about objectively defining the current state of different aspects of watershed health, so like a snapshot of watershed health, and it usually includes things like water quality, water quantity, riparian and shoreline health, wetland condition, and many more. So the last State of the Watershed was completed by the NSWA way back in 2005, so almost 20 years ago, and this last year we launched this project to update our State of the Watershed Assessment. We're really excited to be using the Freshwater Health Index, which is a method that was developed by Conservation International. The index includes indicators for watershed vitality, watershed services, so think things like natural assets or ecosystem goods and services, as well as stakeholders and governance. The Freshwater Health Index is scientifically supported and it's been published in numerous peer-reviewed journals. It's also a scalable tool, which means that we can create scores for the entire North Saskatchewan watershed or scale it down to individual sub-watersheds or even as fine as individual municipalities. It's also a consistent framework which we can use for future assessments or even in other watersheds across the province. Next slide, please. So this slide looks a little complicated, but it's just an example of the output from the Freshwater Health Index, and I'll briefly describe a few of the key components or aspects that these graphics depict. So the central number in each circle is a composite score of all of the indicators and sub-indicators identified in the outer rings of the wheel. So this score is what provides a snapshot of the overall performance of each of the three categories. So the color coding indicates higher scores and lower scores, as well as data gaps for individual indicators and groups of indicators. This approach is directly connected to watershed management planning, because higher scores are potential areas that could be celebrated and or recognized, whereas lower scores are areas, lower score areas or areas with data gaps can prompt conversations on what might be needed to be done to improve those scores or to gather the required data to address the gaps. So in addition to the use of data, there's a large component of stakeholder and partner involvement in the assessment, and ecosystem services are scored with input from the general public. So governance is also scored, and it uses input from knowledgeable water users as well as partners in the watershed. Next slide, please. So now I'll touch a little bit on our engagement activities. Next slide again, please. So the NSWA undertakes many different forms of outreach in the watershed, all aimed to raise the level of awareness, interest, and understanding of watershed stewardship and watershed science. Throughout the summer months, staff attend and support community events. We hold workshops for specific projects, as well as host webinars on various topics for general education and awareness. We also publish a newsletter each month that highlights not only the work of the NSWA, but interesting watershed-related items from partners in the watershed. And we also carry many of those same messages over onto our various social media channels. Next slide, please. So far this year, we've connected with over 1,900 watershed citizens, and we regularly connect with more than 5,700 people through our newsletter and social media. Next slide, please. So another project that we have on the go is the development of a strategy to improve wetland management in the North Saskatchewan River watershed. Next slide, please. So this work came about as a result of direction from our sub-watershed alliances, and so that direction was to develop collaborative direction for wetland management in the watershed that fits within and supports the direction of the Alberta Wetland Policy. So this strategy is still in development, although it's being very close to being ready to finalize and approve. The strategy speaks to a regional or watershed vision for wetlands and identifies the potential ways we can collectively enhance wetland management. And as with everything we do, the wetland strategy is completely advisory in nature, so I did want to stress that. Each partner decides what they will do to advance their own wetland management. The strategy is simply intended to be a map that we can all use to move forward and advance our goals. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the strategy is being and has been reviewed by many stakeholders and partners across the watershed, which includes but is not limited to the sub-watershed alliances, municipalities, the Government of Alberta, Ducks Unlimited, as well as the NSWA Board of Directors. So once the strategy to improve wetland management in the North Saskatchewan River watershed is finalized, we'll be providing a copy to your council, and if there's interest, we can schedule a follow-up or another presentation where we can touch on it in more detail. Next slide, please. So in the interest of time, I will skip over the slides that pertain to the Regional Lake Stewardship Project, but wanted to include the slides as information to council. So if we can skip over the next slide. Perfect. So the next initiative I'll speak to is the Riparian Health Action Plan. So next slide, please. So the Riparian Health Action Plan is one of the NSWA's longest-standing initiatives. It began with the development of a cost-effective satellite-based assessment method, which has been used to map over 17,000 kilometers of riparian area to date. Through the action plan, a target of 65% for riparian health in the watershed was collaboratively set, and we then built the Riparian web portal on which information and success stories are shared, and it includes the antagonist data that I mentioned, the satellite-based data. And in 2022, I will mention that the Riparian web portal won an Emerald Award. Next slide, please. So we also have two current efforts underway under the Riparian Health Action Plan, and they're both focused on supporting municipalities in their planning and policy development. So the first is a review of municipal regulations and bylaws. The review includes the bylaws from 24 municipalities in the watershed and is assessing things like the definitions and language that's used to refer to riparian areas, as well as consistency across bylaws. From this baseline, a best management guide is being developed that will suggest bylaw language that could be used by municipalities. And the second effort focuses on municipal planning and the need for information on potential riparian setbacks. So our work so far builds upon the provincial guidance in stepping back from the water and has been aimed at identifying high slope areas that are potentially unstable, as well as low slope areas that are potentially likely to be inundated if the water level rises. Next slide, please. So to close my presentation today, I want to touch briefly on some of the benefits that come from partnering with and working with NSWA on work affecting the aquatic environment. Next slide, please. So as you will have noted throughout the presentation, the NSWA is a driver for collaborative projects and work that is aimed at improving the health of the watershed. This is a key benefit of working with us because we're able to bring people together, facilitate conversations and discussions around a key topic, and define direction that advances us towards our goals. Another key benefit to working with us is that as a not-for-profit, we can often access funding that isn't available to others, and we regularly coordinate with municipalities on projects and grant funding. With more than 23 years as a watershed steward, the NSWA has considerable knowledge, background, and expertise that we can bring to bear on watershed and water issues. And finally, we're very good at connecting with residents across the watershed to carry the messages of good watershed stewardship, watershed literacy, and the efforts and good work being done by partners across the watershed. So next slide, please. So thank you again for providing me with an opportunity to share the significant work of the NSWA with you today. I've noted a few different ways you can connect with us. You can also go to our website and sign up for our monthly newsletter. So thank you for your support in working towards a resilient watershed. And if we have time, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, well, thank you, Rosie, for the presentation here. So, what is the biggest benefit to the town of Vegreville being a part of this alliance?
So the biggest benefit, as I mentioned, is being involved in some of these large regional initiatives that we have, as well as the Subwatershed Alliances. So through being involved in the Subwatershed Alliance, so the Vermilion River Watershed, as well as the larger initiatives that we have on the go, you're able to participate in these processes that are happening at a large scale that are going to have different impacts and different benefits, as well as access to different information, technical advice, and expertise. So, Dave, if you have anything to add, I might bug you.
Oh, I would just add that we get our water from the North Saskatchewan River, so we should be interested in making sure it's good and pure.
So, Rosie, what should we be on the lookout for? What's a problem area that may affect us in our water quality here?
So specifically in the region of Vegreville, riparian area health is a big one, as well as there's a history of channelization and sort of changing the flow of water across the landscape. So from what I've heard from Dave and others that participate, especially in the Vermilion River Watershed Alliance, a lot of issues kind of center around movement of surface water on the landscape. So either there's too much or not enough, and it's either in the right place or the wrong place. So that's one of the largest issues that I would say from my experience in the Vermilion watershed region.
Excellent.
Can I ask her a question?
Go right ahead.
Sorry, and if this is something you can't answer right now, I'll definitely bug somebody just down for me. I noticed on the circles when we were talking about some of the initiatives you have, it had natural assist. Would you just be able to tell us a little bit about what that means? Is it more in regards to protection of certain areas to allow for things to go on their own, or is it assisting literally in areas that you see depleted of some element?
Yeah, so natural asset planning is something that's starting to kind of take off, not even just within Alberta or Canada, but globally. And so the idea is if everyone's familiar with the idea and concept of ecosystem services, so that there's different functions and benefits that nature provides to us. So for example, wetlands, they store water on the landscape, they help to filter and clean it, they provide habitat, recreational opportunities. So those are examples of ecosystem services. So the idea of natural asset management or natural asset planning is that recognizing that we can build certain infrastructure on the landscape, but we can enhance the landscape and we can enhance the function of infrastructure by targeting different areas, either for conservation, like you mentioned. So there's a wetland over here that is really helping to filter the water before it reaches our water treatment plant, or we have our wastewater system here, and there's a wetland downstream that helps to provide natural filtration before it reaches the discharge point. So it's basically utilizing natural components of the landscape to provide those ecosystem services. As a very brief overview, it's a very large topic.
Yeah.
So it's either for conservation, but in some instances, it's doing different inventories and modeling to figure out where we could benefit from doing things like planting trees or restoring a wetland or some things along those lines.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your presentation, and now that we have been a member for quite a few years, first of the Vermilion watershed, but I guess it's all captured under the North Saskatchewan Rivershed Alliance now, correct?
Correct, yeah. So the relationship between the Subwatershed Alliances and NSWA is that NSWA is sort of the overarching organization, and then the subwatersheds are more locally focused, and NSWA provides a coordinator, which is me for VRWA, that helps to plan and facilitate meetings, carry out projects, secure grant funding to kind of do more locally focused work. And I did just want to say thank you very much to Councillor David Barry for his many, many years of support and expertise to VRWA. He's been an amazing asset. So.
Do you think that you guys could get him a hat with the NSWA on it? Or?
Oh, we have that. So at the next.
I've never seen him wear one.
Yeah, well, I will provide it. If he doesn't wear it, then that's up to him. So.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your presentation today, and I know that the quality of water that we receive from EPCOR comes downstream in the North Saskatchewan, and we have a responsibility in our own watershed here with the Vermilion River running through town, and it's something that we take very seriously. So,
thank you, and thank you again for giving me an opportunity to present today.
Well, next time you're around, stop in.
Will do.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you. Excellent. She's been with the organization for a while, Dave?
3 years. She's got a strong background in biology and ecosystems and stuff, but because she was working in other areas, but she's been with the Alliance for about 3 years.
Okay.
But she's got her master's and everything in aquatic systems, so.
Excellent. Okay. Next on our agenda is Mr. Lipke. How are you today, sir?
Not too bad, yourselves?
Good. You can step up to the podium. There's a microphone there for you, sir.
I'm not sure if you're aware why I'm here.
It's regarding an incident regarding our bylaw at your residence.
Yes, I'm not sure how to address you, but mayor, I guess, or councillors, mayor and councillors. I was in Thailand at the time, and my camera went off at whatever, 1 in the morning, and it just said there was someone in my yard. So I went on the camera, and I tried to speak to the individual because I had no idea what was going on. He looked right at the camera, went in the backyard. I didn't know what the hell was going on, so I called the RCMP. The RCMP came. They confirmed that the back gate was broke into. I'm like, well, that's kind of odd. So anyways, I keep getting notifications that there's, like, the RCMP left. I keep getting notifications there's people in my yard. I sent a video. I don't know if you guys have gotten it. There's 2 people standing there. I'm like, excuse me, can you tell me what's going on? They're looking at the camera, totally ignoring me. Then they claim that they had sent me this notice of entry, which I never did get. I did get a copy of it posted with my bill. I'm being charged 5 hours for an industrial weed eater, or a truck, 4 hours, sorry, for an industrial weed eater, which pictures and video clearly shows that he spent 3 hours fixing this industrial weed eater on my porch. The whole time I'm trying to see what the hell's going on. No one's talking to me. There's a bill here for $1,138 to cut my grass. It takes me 20 minutes with a push mower, and I don't mean a gas one. I mean a push mower with like the old style, because that's what I use. So this is ridiculous. And the RCMP were there twice that day, and every time whoever was there, and I have no names because no one would talk to me, no one informed me what was going on. I never did get a notice. And I think this is, oh, and then to top it all off, I had trees which I imported from South Korea in the yard, and I had metal stakes all around the trees. They pulled the stakes, they put them on the fence, and they just cut right over them. So, and my fence is that tall. My grass wasn't that tall, but so they broke in, cut grass you can't see, and I can drive all over town. In fact, I've got pictures on my phone today. Grass is unkept everywhere. So, and the video I sent you and the pictures, the grass in the driveway is 5-6 inches tall. I think it's ludicrous. It's absolutely, it's criminal what this bill. It makes no sense whatsoever. And I never heard anything about it for 2 years, and then I get my tax notice. I'm like, well, that's kind of high for taxes. And then I found out that it was just added to my taxes. There's no notice. I came in once, like over 2 years ago, and complained about it, and then I never heard anything. So I just thought the whole matter was done. And then it was snuck onto my taxes. And that's why I'm here.
Okay, so let's start with, when you said it was 1 in the morning, Thailand time, or?
Thailand time, yes.
Okay. So, because we didn't really have anybody working at 1 in the morning here. Okay, so your claim is that they broke your lock on the fence to gain access to your yard?
Yes, and the RCMP confirmed it.
Okay,
And I sent you or somebody the video of me talking to the RCMP, and then he gives me his phone number, and I'm physically talking to him on the phone, and he said, yes, they forced your gate to break in.
okay. Of course, I have not seen that video where the RCMP are saying that we broke your gate.
That's on the phone. But you seen the video where I'm talking to the RCMP on the phone, did you not?
Well, we've seen a video of people walking in your yard, and then the contractor that was hired by the town to cut your lawn in your yard is what we've seen so far.
Did you not see the video of me talking to the RCMP?
You have? I have not neither.
I sent it.
You have a video of that? Okay. Another thing, so you have not seen this on your tax notice until now, and this happened 3 years ago?
Correct.
So
I just assumed the whole matter was done and over with.
I would imagine you would if you didn't see it for 2 years.
I work out of town, and I am literally gone 6 or 7 months of the year. I have break-ins here all the time. I put cameras up everywhere. I just caught some guys breaking into my motorhome. Some guys broke in, took a shower. I mean, they've arrested 8 people just because of all the money I've invested with cameras trying to protect my property while I'm not here. So when my, camera goes off at 1 in the morning, I know it's daylight. So bang, I'm trying to talk to these people, and they're looking at the camera, but they're not saying a word.
Okay, go ahead, Jameson.
I have an 18-second video with what appears to be a member of the RCMP walking by the camera. He appears to be on the phone. There isn't much for audio. Is that the video you're referring to?
Yeah, I'm not. Well, I thought I sent 2 videos.
What I have is 4 videos. Only one, though, that actually features a member of the RCMP. Oh, beg your pardon, there's another. But both these videos are of just him walking by. There's not much for audio. I've got another 19-second video with what appears to be a contractor working, and then a 43-second video with 2 contractors working. That's all I have on.
And you can see in the video they're looking at the camera.
I believe that, yes, in the 43
And I'm
second.
trying to get their attention because I don't know who these people are, and they're not working, they're just standing there talking.
Right. In terms of an actual video of the RCMP and an audible conversation, though, I don't have that on file.
So, the fact that we didn't attach this to his tax notice until this year, is that correct?
I have to look to see when it was attached to the tax notice. Just bear with me 1 second.
Mitch, what do you know about this file?
Excuse me, sir, I just need to borrow the mic there for a minute.
Sorry.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, excuse me. Just that was what was presented with me this morning, Your Worship. Looks like all the letters that we sent out under the Municipal Government Act were done properly. Notice of entry was done as well. That would be coming into the yard to maintain the yard.
So, Mr. Lipke didn't receive them because he wasn't in Vegreville. It's probably what is going on here, correct?
I would assume so by his statement, Your Worship. However, though, with the Municipal Government Act, all we have to do is provide that notice, and then they have 14 days to contest that as well.
Okay. So we don't have a video of the RCMP actually confirming that they broke into the gate.
There is no, I can call him and, I just didn't know how far I was going to pursue this because hasn't been a word for 2.5 years. So I just assumed it was over, and water under the bridge is water under the bridge, right?
Okay.
That's why I haven't pursued it, because
When you're working away now, do you have somebody that does your yard maintenance for you? And
Darren's yard work. I
Oh,
mean,
the same-
I thought I had someone cutting the grass, but apparently it didn't get cut. But you can see by the pictures, the grass is not out of hand.
Okay,
I have pictures if you'd like to see them, Your Worship.
sure. So have we found anything regarding the, okay. These are file pictures from the file, like. Okay, so these pictures here of alongside the house, that's way past the bylaw of what the length can be and what we call in our nuisance bylaw that this is a problem.
Okay, because I've got pictures of buildings all along here, and the grass is taller than that today. So I don't understand why I'm being picked on, because there's buildings I have pictures of those on my phone too.
Well,
And these are.
I can only deal with what you're being charged with here, sir.
Okay.
So, and again, this is against the nuisance bylaw this was not acceptable. So, I'll just tell you that is when people get charged, we hope that our municipal enforcement is out there working hard to get everybody, because usually we don't do too much other than talk to a neighbor, to talk to the house owner about something should be done, and usually that's the way we move forward, trying to encourage someone to take care of it themselves. Obviously, you not being there was a problem, for sure. And then usually is what really provokes this is a complaint from a neighbor. But that being said, the part that I don't understand is why would we go almost 3 years without putting this on your tax notice? That seems a little.
Is there pictures of the inside of the yard?
There's some grainy pictures in here of.
Because I don't understand why they would have just cut my trees over.
Okay, so this is in your yard here?
Yes,
Yes.
except you can't see the trees because they're actually, they're not in any of these pictures.
So this is your complete backyard here. I walked by there 1,000 times. So where are the trees located?
They're in a row starting from the back this way because the metal stakes were put on this back fence right here.
Okay, so, like, I think that we feel right now that the procedure that was done to notify you about where the nuisance part of your lawn was coming in, it was done correctly.
There was no notice in the mailbox when I got back, sir.
Was
That I'm just saying, there was no notice, and it would have been appreciative. I wouldn't have had to call the RCMP. I'm glad I did because they did confirm a break-in, but I shouldn't have had to call the RCMP if there's men standing there, and I can talk to the RCMP, so I know he could hear me, but yet you saw the picture of the guy fixing the weed eater on the stairs. He was there for 3 hours fixing the weed eater. I got charged 4 hours for an industrial weed eater that you could buy at Walmart for $120. It's criminal what I'm being charged here. I don't mind paying somebody to cut my grass, but $1,300 or $1,200 is ridiculous. And then for this to go on my taxes 2.5 years after the fact is.
Well, we put it out to tender the people that do the work for the town when they go into these situations. I don't really feel that anybody's lawn is worth that much to cut, but that's myself personally. I mean, we've been through this process many times. The part that I don't understand is why you were not billed right away.
Because when we do these, the invoice would have been sent out, we would have logged it for, July 31st on 2021. So at that point, it had missed the 2021 tax notification. So it would have came out on the 2022 tax notification, which is what we are working on. But it sits in AR for a while. We have a few months before we can move it to a tax roll. And I was just looking it up for the timeline in the MGA. So it does sit in an accounts receivable for the account, and when a certain period is passed and it's not paid, then it goes on to the tax roll. So there would have been basically a accounts receivable invoice sent to Mr. Lepke, and there would have been an expectation of it to be paid from that, and then when it's no longer paid, or when it was not paid, it was moved to the tax roll.
So, in actual fact, it was not put on the tax roll in 2021, but it was on the 2022 tax roll.
Yes, so it was invoiced July 31st, 2021, which, like CAO Ling mentioned, it just follows the normal process where it was invoiced and sits on our AR system in hopes of being collected, at which point it never was collected. So on December 16th of 2022, we cleared it from our AR system and applied it to the tax roll of that property.
2022.
Correct, which is where it currently sits, is on the tax roll.
It was after tax day
Yes.
in 21, set on the file until the tax roll went out for 2022.
Yes, and I guess during our year-end process, when we were clearing AR, we moved it to the tax roll, which is allowable under the MGA.
And this is standard operating procedure.
Correct.
Okay. Well, it wasn't 3 years.
2.5.
Well,
I mean, I'm just saying, because I never got anything since. It was just on my tax notice this year. I pay my taxes every year.
July 2021, and you received it in the tax notice for 2022.
I don't even know if, I don't remember even receiving, well, anyways, I know I paid the taxes whenever it was. I don't remember when it was.
Well, you would have paid your taxes before the incident occurred in 2021, and it showed up in your 2022 tax notice. Because
So,
the June 30th is the tax cutoff for 2021 that were paid. So it was applied to your 2022 taxes.
2023.
Huh?
2023. We moved it in December 16th of 2022, so it would have showed up on his
Oh.
tax roll for 2023.
So it is 2 years that it's set there.
So it was not, just for just to clarify with the two notices, it was not on the 2022 one, but it appeared the first time on the 2023 one. Is that correct?
Correct. That's how it looks.
Correct? Go ahead, Councilor Rudy.
So, thank you for your presentation. And looking through the documentation that you provided here, I'm just curious again, going back to the question about the appropriate delivery of the notification. According to the Municipal Government Act, I think probably a common understanding of receipt of the notice of entry would be from us to you directly or via mail, but I believe it would be on the property. Is that correct?
There's a number of ways it could be done by a regular registered mail on the property or directly to the person. Looks like this, according to our notice here, looks like it was mailed out.
So in the notes, thank you for that clarification. In the notes, though, it says, Mr. Lepke, that it went to the wrong address. Is that correct?
yeah, because I never got it. I got this stapled with this invoice, but I never got a notice in my mail, ever. And I thought for sure, if someone's standing on your porch, that they could at least talk to you and tell you what's going on. But they physically broke the gate. They cut down my trees in my yard. I'm not sure, but I don't know how much of an eyesore tall grass is behind a fence that tall. It's a tight, like no one can see in my yard. So to go in there and just wanton, they physically had to pull metal stakes all around the trees to cut over them. So they obviously knew something was there, but they never once gave me the time of day, and that's why I called the RCMP. 2 times they came out that day.
If I could, the other question I had about the notification too, when you say that we have record of the notification, does it say how we delivered this message or this correspondence?
I'm just looking into that as we speak,
Okay.
Counselor.
Thank you, and
I
please
also
appreciate, sorry.
have, a bunch of pictures. There was, I'm not sure what they call themselves, but an officer in a blue uniform. He didn't park in the driveway. He parked down. I could just see his bumper sticking out behind the neighbor's fence. And he knew there was a camera there, so he's running past the camera. And he goes in the yard. The gate's already broken, so he can get in there quite easily. And then he's running back out. And the whole time I'm like, what kind of childish games is this guy playing? I'm on the other side of the world, literally. And I don't know who these guys are. They won't talk to me. I knew this guy was, but this was the next day, this officer running through the yard with a mask on. I have pictures of that too. I thought I sent them.
It's in the file that was shared with us.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your frustration, and I guess what we're trying to do is sort of dial back the clock a little bit, because this is some time ago, and we're talking about some different folks that may not have been here at the time. So thank you.
If I may, Your Worship, one of the documentations that we have here on this file is a email from former Director Rowe, the Community Services Director, to Mr. Lepke regarding this file. And in this email, Director Rowe had basically stated that 2 letters were mailed to the address as per the Community Standards Bylaw number 17, 2018, One was on June 3rd, 2021, a letter to maintain the property within 14 days notice, or the contractor will be sent in to maintain on your behalf. And then a notice of entry letter was given on June 21st, 2021, giving 48 hours to comply. And both these were mailed. So not only would they have been mailed, I'm assuming they were also stuck on the property as per the normal procedure when doing notices of entry.
My follow-up question, thank you for finding that. I didn't see that in the email correspondence here. But so just so that I'm clear, the MGA requires us to provide notice of entry.
Yes.
But there is no indication that that notice is received on the other end. So the communication is directed out, but not necessarily, we have no way of verifying that, for example, that the address was correct or that it was received. We have no way of knowing that because we don't have a registered letter. Is that correct?
My understanding is that is correct. Our only obligation through the MGA is actually to just leave notice, on the property.
Okay.
That also, I can say, never happened. There was no notice on the property. That is 100%. My camera would have picked up someone posting something on my door, and that never happened.
Okay, well, thank you.
I'm a fair person. I'm willing to pay to have my grass cut for that one time, but I don't think there's, it warrants $1,200. Then I'm just being totally fair. I mean, I'm fairly responsible, at least I think I am, and I did have someone cutting the grass. For whatever reason, it never got done. But yeah, for this to go on for 2.5 years without a word spoken, to me makes no sense at all because, I mean, obviously I got this invoice in the mail, so that's all I got. But it's criminal that a gate was broke into, and it's literally destruction of some oak trees that I imported from South Korea.
Okay, well, I want to thank you for coming in today and giving us your side of this story. We will have a conversation in a closed session about what council's thoughts are about moving forward, and we will take recommendations from the senior admin on this too. So that's where we will be, and you will get some sort of resolution one way or the other back from the senior admin.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, up next, we have deputy mayor appointment.
All right, this memo
Oh, we got a Bible?
This memo is just a notification to council that at the organizational meeting on Monday, the deputy mayor appointment will be changing. And as per the schedule set out at the organizational meeting, the first organizational meeting of this council, that Councillor Tanine Rudick will be moving into the deputy mayor position.
Look at you go. Wow. You guys all in favor of this, or want to discuss it? Okay, so we'll see this on Monday.
Yes, that's
I
correct.
think she's gonna move over and give you space.
Yeah. Well, it's always nice getting a new deputy mayor, and I want to thank Deputy Mayor Councillor Curtis. Not only did you go above and beyond your duties as a councillor, but it was nice to watch you when I was on holidays. And although I was never happy with you sitting in your own chair, that really upset me. So.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you very much. And next time we're on holidays, just go on holidays. We got it covered.
Okay, so let's do a little round table here, and we'll sort of hear what everybody's been, good or bad, what they've been hearing in the community. So start with you, Councillor Barry.
I'm going to learn that when you look the other way, I better be prepared. Thank you, Your Worship. I've had a couple of kudos brought to me. The crosswalk that we installed, a neighbor who lives a little ways away is saying that not only has that become a safety feature for the children that walk in that area, but it's also slowed the traffic down a bit. And was very appreciative of having that put into that area and thought that was really good. The other one, some of the walkers that travel past my place have expressed that having the cement raised from the sidewalk to be the same level as the bridge now is very nice when they come by walking there, that that's all smoothed out. And I live right there, and I hadn't noticed it until I went to walk down there the other day, and I kind of tripped over what wasn't there and had to back up and say, hey, that's great. So those are the only things that I have, is that people are noticing that there's things going on in the town that are very positive.
Are you sure we didn't lower the bridge?
No, I'm pretty sure, because I saw the pylons go in there when they built that bridge, and I got a feeling that they raised the sidewalk.
Okay. Okay, so Council Lemko, you look ready to go there for a minute, so what have you been hearing?
Again, kudos, Your Worship, just regarding the skate park. And these kudos come from both residents within the community and those outside the community who are coming to use the facility. So thanks to Rotary for the great work they did in getting this done, and there's many, many children using that facility. I have nothing else to report.
Yeah, thank you. Councilor Curtis.
It's been pretty quiet for me. I don't have anything too much to speak to. I did have some correspondence, as Councilor Barry said, about the crosswalks. I was happy to see that in there. I had my kids up at the skate park a few times. Actually, their grandparents had them up there, I think, too, so they were enjoying that, but that's all I have at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Bullock.
Very uneventful for me. I got nothing. No complaints. That's good news.
Okay. Councilor Warwa.
I actually don't have complaints either, but I did have one extra one that was kind of interesting. Somebody mentioned to me about, we do a lot of sometimes the same, we're always thinking something different. People do appreciate those something different to go to. I actually had a bunch of people reach out about the recent pierogi eating contest. And they said that they find stuff like that. They weren't trying to mean that one in specific, but they said it's nice to have new and different things to go out to and to see how people are responding to it. So I guess that lets us know that on our tourism side, or when we're looking at initiatives, that people are appreciating that. And I think that they appreciate when they see us as council out there just checking it out as well, even when it's in a what they're calling a non-formal capacity, more so than our speeches. They really seem to be happy to just see us in the crowd as one person watching something like that going on. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Councilor Riddick.
I've got a couple comments. I had some people that have not lived in town for quite a while talk about how happy they were to see the signage on both sides of town, that they were quite happy, that they originally were part of the working group. And they've moved away, and we're happy to see that 7 years hence, that that the wheels of government move so quickly. But they were really quite impressed to see that it's been changed, and they felt like it was kind of a sign of what they were coming into town, and noticed a lot of differences in the community since they've moved. And again, we can get used to driving down the street and looking at the same things and viewing it the same way, but there have been a lot of changes, and it's nice to be able to hear that from somebody who doesn't live here and really recognized some of the work that's been happening locally. I had a comment about walking trails. I use the walking trail on the south side all the time, and it's been vandalized a few times, and I'll send a picture, but somebody has driven over the footbridge again with the vehicle, and I saw them yesterday squawking their tires, and literally Dan and his staff just fixed it, and it's been vandalized again, which is really disheartening, considering the number of people that use that walking trail, both to run on, to ride on, and to walk on every day, and somebody else seems to think that it's a fun place to vandalize. So unfortunately, that kind of mars the ability to be able to enjoy some of those great outdoor spaces that we've got as a community. And that walking trail on the south side is well used by a lot of people with their dogs, and I've been asked again when we're going to have a dog park, because it was promised quite a while ago that there'd be an off-leash dog park on that area of town.
Wrong.
Yes, yes, that was a former conversation, a previous conversation that was anticipated. So I said that we're in the budget process right now, and as much as it might be appreciated by folks that live on that side of town, that it's not in our budget discussions yet, but definitely appreciate the interest in amplifying our outdoor opportunities for people. And I attended a funding announcement today in Fort Saskatchewan in my capacity as FCM past president. Great to be able to see it was an 83 units, over 100 residents of all ages of near market housing, the first net zero project in that Heartland housing grouping, and got to visit with Minister Nixon there and talk a little bit about what we're interested in doing here in Vegreville, and be able to see that facility. I've toured it previously. The first floor is built of shipping containers, and the 2 subsequent floors are built on top of that, and it is a really remarkable building. They've got they're going to be feeding power back into the grid, but as it stands right now, it's near market housing for those with special needs, seniors, young people, and everybody in between, and it was immediately filled. So Fort Saskatchewan is a booming city, and they need more housing projects. So it was really interesting to be able to tour that facility and make that announcement today. And they received over $3 million of Green Municipal Fund, both in grant and loan. So anyways, good example of 3 orders of government coming together and working with volunteer groups as well.
Thank you very much. So, just today, I've heard a complaint about a garbage bin, and he sent a picture with the bin up in the air on his alley with a huge hole, and he's not very happy that there's a huge hole in his garbage bin, and he brought it up with the driver a while ago, and nothing's been done. And it is a very large hole for a garbage bin, so we all know what happens when garbage bins have holes in the bottom. Usually stuff comes out of them. So I will take that to Public Works or get it to the right place. Also, a conversation I had today was a resident of 45th Avenue and 49th Street. When traffic is coming from the east heading west on 45th, there's been a few near misses this summer, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on regarding the fair and the Pasanka days and stuff, and that 45th Avenue gets used pretty good. And they're asking me, what is the process of applying for a 4-way stop? So I'm not sure what goes into that, but I told them a letter to mayor and council. We'd probably have to do a traffic count or send it out for an open house to see what people think, or how we could convince some people that are heading west on 45th Ave to slow down a little bit, because there's a bit of a knoll there, and you don't really get to pick anything up until you get your eyes on the cenotaph right there. So that being said, maybe we could take a look at moving one of our speed signs over in that area and just take a look at what some of the average speeds are that people are using going through there. And because we can collect that data, and that data may be useful in looking at a 4-way stop there. So those are the ones that I had today. We did meet with Minister Nixon after he left Fort Saskatchewan. He came out and he stopped in and visited the FCSS department here in town, and we had a very nice conversation with a minister from rural Alberta that gets what rural Alberta's needs are, and he now has what he calls a super ministry, social services and senior housing and affordable housing and everything all together. But in the conversation I picked up that he understands some of the challenges that rural Alberta, smaller municipalities like ourselves, are seeing, and he's willing to make some changes within that department. He's waiting, he told us that we need to wait for a couple of announcements that are coming right away regarding some other ministries, and then his ministry will follow behind with some more changes. So we're looking forward to those changes as we move forward here. That's what I have. Now let's move on to director's highlights. Director Johnston.
Thank you, Your Worship. Since we've spoke last, we've just been doing a lot of things budget. We've had a few meetings since then, just putting together a few different numbers for you guys to review at the next meeting. We have the variance analysis, which if all goes well, should be complete tomorrow with nothing crazy looking like it's going to come out of that. And then just lots of training in our office with some of the new people in the positions that we've recently hired. And aside from that, just gearing up for year end and just kind of doing the usual paper pushing that happens up there.
Paper pushing. So the auditor will be no problems, is what you're saying.
No problems.
Nice. Because if there is, they always get a hold of me. Say, Director Johnston did this. Okay, so we should be fine. Okay, CAO highlights?
Actually, I'm pretty much in the same boat. We've been focusing a lot on budget to prepare for the workshops and stuff like that. So that's kind of been what has been occupying the majority of our time upstairs. So nothing exciting, but
Well, I think I have some news to share with everybody, that we have signed a contract with our new CAO, and it happens to be Sandra Ling is our new CAO, so thank you. Thank you for your intern role that you played, and council has all the confidence in the world moving forward with your ability to make this municipality a better place to live for all of us and work.
Don't make her cry, Karen.
Okay,
thank you.
congratulations, CAO Ling. Okay, so I think that we need to talk about the food bank, Leslie. Leslie's volunteered to cover all of our shifts. Can you tell us what shifts are available at this time? Uh-oh, I think I put her on the spot.
So we have a few shifts available. Councillor Rawa has volunteered to do November 3rd off the hop.
By yourself?
No one else has volunteered to help.
Okay, just,
I
and
can-
how
I
many
can go
pickups does she have?
I think that one was only one.
Yes, so on November 3rd is just one pickup at No Frills at 9 a.m.
I should be able to, if you pick me up, I'll go help.
Okay, so that one's covered. What else what's next?
Okay, so then Friday, November 20th, there is two pickups. So one will be from No Frills at 9 a.m. and then Walmart is afterwards. Sorry, did I say the 20th? I meant the 10th.
Yeah, okay. So on the 10th, so that is Friday. Okay, I have nothing, so I could cover those.
I could help you, Your Worship.
Okay,
So the next one, all of these are Fridays, by the way. So the next one is November 17th. It's one pickup at No Frills, and Councillor Rawa has volunteered for that one so far.
I would be available on the 17th,
Okay. Then we can
but you'd have to pick me up. I can meet you there.
Okay, still in November, there will be two pickups on Friday, November 24th. No Frills at 9 a.m., Walmart following that one.
November, sorry, I'm just trying to add.
Friday, November 24th.
I enjoy coming and helping all of these times, but I am booked every Friday. I am. Sorry.
We had so much fun last time when we froze. Remember how cold it was when you and I did the cans and all
And
that?
is it two
Minus a
pickups
million.
that day?
Yeah.
On the 24th, yes.
Okay, I can do that one. And that's November again, right?
Yes, 24th.
I can help you as well, Your Worship.
Okay, so I got November the 10th and November the 24th.
That is correct.
Okay,
I sent you my response in.
Yes, you did. So just getting to that one. So we're moving into December. That is Friday, December 1st. One pickup. Councillor Bullock has volunteered for that one.
and that's
I can help you with that, Councillor Bullock, if you pick me up.
Okay, 3 more dates. So Friday, December 8th, there are 2 pickups for that one. We have No Frills at 9 a.m. and Walmart following.
The 8th. Okay.
Which other weekend did I put down for you?
You had also listed the 29th, Councillor Bullock.
Okay, I can do the 8th.
I can do the 8th too.
Okay.
Thank you. Last 2, December 15th, it is 1 pickup from No Frills.
I'm
grab
available
that,
to
Your
help
Worship.
on the 15th.
You know what, I could probably do that one if you and I want to do that one again.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so the 15th will be Councillor Barry and Councillor Rawa. And then the 29th, as I said, Councillor Bullock has volunteered for that one. Would anybody like to assist? And it's just 1 pickup that day as well.
Sure. Put me there. We'll do it.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Put Councilor Lemko as my alternate.
Okay.
Sorry, Leslie, when it's at No Frills, it's 9 a.m. pickup? Sorry, on the.
Yes. All of the pickups are at 9 a.m. The solo ones are only No Frills. And if there are 2, it'll be Walmart after. I'll send out the schedule after this as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really? I just put it all on my phone now. Okay, perfect.
Yes, I'll send out the invitation. Put it all in your calendars.
I don't think it's wrong if the staff want to help once in a while too. I think it's fine. Especially in the middle of summer. Every Friday. Okay.
Just letting it go.
Okay, so I think that's it. We have no other business of council right now?
None right now except for the closed session.
Yes, we have a closed session, so,
I have a question. Sorry.
well, you better get it in.
This is so early, so you're going to actually be mad that I'm sneaking this in today, but just want to throw it on the radar because of early planning. If we're already talking about food bank deliveries, I just wanted us to think about going into the lodges again. I know it takes a couple weeks to do that, and if it's still favorable, I know they liked it, so I just wanted to throw that out there that I kind of enjoyed going to the lodges, and I think they did. So,
Yeah, I'm sure that Leslie will be putting together a schedule with the lodges and then confirming some dates with us. You have access to all of our calendars? Oh, you should get all our emails too.
good. They'll finally get it. If you want to manage my calendar, I'm awesome.
So yeah, so we don't want to get too close to Christmas, but you know, someplace from the 10th of December in, and yeah, we'll get the visits going. So, okay. That being said, nothing else for council. I take a motion to go into closed session. Councillor Bullock makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried at 4:10.